Now this is a video topic that I did not think we would need to discuss, because today we're heading over to New Jersey and we're talking about Timo Meier, one of the biggest trade chips in the NHL market from last year, and a guy who was eventually sent over from San Jose to the New Jersey Devils. He's 27 years old, 6 feet 216, left-handed guy, and he was recently signed by the Devils to a really big extension. 2031 is the expiration date. His AAV is $8.8 million a year, meaning that the contract is going to be taking him till he's, 34 years old? This is a long deal for a guy who is playing towards the end of his 20s, early to mid-30s in New Jersey. He's always been a pretty good player. Very strong, power forward-like guy. He had multiple 60-point years with the San Jose Sharks. One of those years he was under a point per game with 76 points in 77 games played. Was eventually a point-per-game guy on the Sharks last year too, on a very terrible team, before getting sent over to New Jersey in that big trade last season. He then signed the extension. He had 14 points in 21 games played. All is okay for Meier. But when it comes to how things have started out in this season's worth of play, the guy ended up getting benched a few nights ago against the Florida Panthers. Now, this was just the start. We could talk about what happened in this game. In particular, Coach Lindy Ruff went out there and said that Timo Meier took a bunch of penalties that you cannot be taking, most likely referring to the 2 trips that Timo Meier ended up committing in the second period. This article from the Hockey News goes over and writes about it. 2 tripping penalties in the span of about 4 minutes and 18 seconds in the second period. Both trips looked like Meier got beat around the outside and got lazy with his stick. Meier reached out and blatantly tripped the opposition. The Hockey News Devil reporter Christy Flannery had this to say about Meier: "The only thing I can say is that he was the guy in San Jose, and now in New Jersey he is one of many guys. There has to be a mental thing here." Meier has not been on the top power play unit with the Devils as they try to spread the offense across both units, and the Devils are expecting big things out of him since they just gave him a $70 million contract. And so, for Timo Meier, of course, one game is one game. But it was the one game that kind of got people thinking about Meier in a way that we've never thought about him before, as to whether or not this entire experiment was really worth committing that money to. Now, obviously, small sample size, the guy had 0 points in his first 3 games, and while that's not ideal for a guy making 8.8, it's only been 3 games. However, even though this is the case, you have a bunch of New Jersey Devils fans' discourse that I've been seeing popping up on my Reddit feed a bunch, just kind of expressing their concerns in a very weird way. Here is one of the posts that I'm talking about. "Should we trade Timo Meier?" asked by One Defense from earlier a few days ago. The replies go out there and say, "We are 3 games into the season, for crying out loud. Why are you going out there and saying this? This sub is crazy. Y'all are trolling. I hope this is satire." Another post on the Devils sub says, "This is Timo Meier right for this team. I like him, I really do, but he doesn't seem to fit well with our squad. Do you think he'll eventually develop some chemistry and consistency? Or will he be a good trade candidate for another winger in the near future?" Now, yeah, that's not great. Immediately signing a guy to a $70 million deal, and 3 games into the season you've got some fans calling for his head. Admittedly, most of the Devils fans in this comment section are a lot more rational and saying, yeah, he's an elite player, he'll be fine. We were just rightfully celebrating his extension a few weeks ago. It's been 3 games, we need to relax. Of course, this was all posted before the Devils game against the Islanders yesterday, wherein Timo Meier scored 2 points. So there you go, first 2 assists of the season. He was a -3, but whatever, he still played on the Devils team that ended up winning. But you've got a lot of Devils fans coming to the aid of Meier and saying that he's worth it, you just gotta wait and see. Here's a comment from McRib that I really liked. "It's only been 3 games into this season. He was legit in the playoffs last year, and he did everything except for scoring. He was robbed a ton of times. He puts up 3 to 4 goals in that year he got robbed on, and no one has this thought in their head ever. Yes, he is right for this team. It's been 3 games. What the heck?" You then had some changes to the lineup that reflected a little bit more of a strength in the way Timo Meier could be deployed. Moving him to the right side is something that I think a lot of Devils fans had been wanting for a while, and we had seen in a recent practice that he was indeed placed there. But just to hammer the point down even more as to why this is not the worst thing in the world, here's a post made by Kornja81 on the Devils sub. Here's Timo Meier's stats through the first 10 games of last year, so 2022-2023. I'm not worried about him. In Timo Meier's first 10 games in the 22-23 season with San Jose, the guy posted up 1 goal and 3 assists for 4 total points. And 2 of those points, a goal and an assist, came in the 10th game of the year. So Meier literally had 0 goals and 2 assists for the first 9 games of San Jose hockey in 22-23. Now, the difference here is that the Sharks were, 3-7 in this 10-game span? If you want to eliminate the last game, they were 2-7, which is not great, but the Devils are supposed to be a little bit better than the San Jose Sharks were last year, so individually, you could say that this isn't even really an isolated incident. Timo Meier just gets off to slow starts sometimes, and last year was a prime example of that. You could very well debate the same thing is happening now, and thus no worries should be applied here. Since Meier did end off last season with 52 points in 57 games for the San Jose Sharks, and 30 goals too. 30 goals in 57 games. He had a 40-goal season split between 2 teams. And you're telling me that after 3 games or 4 games, he gets benched in one of these situations because he takes some bad penalties, which is good, by the way. It's good for Lindy Ruff to be able to set that precedence and say, hey, it doesn't matter if you're a top-tier player, doesn't matter if you're a bottom-tier guy, if you take dumb penalties, you're out. We're not going to play you. It forces these players to be a bit more responsible, and I like that. I respect that. After 1 game of that and 2 other pointless games for Timo Meier, the sky should not be considered as falling down in New Jersey. And it seems like most Devils fans are okay with that. Some of y'all are kind of making some weird posts about it and bringing up some weird ideas, but even in the replies to a lot of these conversations, I have seen a lot of Devils fans bringing up other arguments like, hey, remember when Ilya Kovalchuk was with New Jersey? That guy took a pretty long time to get going as well, but he was a very good player. Before he left, of course. Sorry, didn't want to rub salt in the wound there, but I just had to add that on to the sentence. But bottom line is, Timo Meier is a good player. Sure, there could be some psychological thing going on here where he is no longer the guy, and thus his mindset, the way he perceives the game, isn't really in that same stratosphere like it was last year. Where last year he recognized, yeah, I'm the big guy here. I'm the top dog on this team, so I have to go out there and I have to provide. I have to score. I have to do it all myself. Now he's got Jack Hughes, he's got Jesper Bratt, he's got Toffoli, he's got all these really talented players alongside of him in the top 6 of New Jersey, and maybe there could be some sort of a mental lack in that respect. We had seen this happen before. For example, with San Jose the past few years, having Erik Karlsson and Brent Burns together on the same power play wasn't great because they both started stepping on each other's toes. They are both so used to being number 1 defensemen on their teams that all of a sudden when there's another one playing with you, it's tough to be that because you start to give way, you try to make plays to the other guy, you try to make passes to the other guy when you have strengths of just holding onto it yourself and trying to fire it on goal. Like, there were problems with that, and we had seen after Brent Burns got traded away and Erik Karlsson was able to settle back into that mindset of being the number 1 guy, he was like, fine, I'm going to get 100 points this year. Not saying that Timo Meier and the Devils are in a similar situation, but just acknowledging that these types of things can happen. Erik Karlsson playing with Brent Burns was not less talented than Erik Karlsson who had scored 100 points last year. It's just everything went right for Karlsson last year. Brent Burns was in a way holding the guy back mentally from being able to exhibit that same type of play. And maybe for Timo Meier, at least for the next 8 years, the guy's going to have to deal with the same things. But it's only been a few games so far, it's only been a week and a bit, so for now, let's all calm down a little bit, okay? I know most of y'all Devils fans have been okay, but I wanted to make this video to talk to some of the other ones that are panicking a little bit more, and all the other fans of teams around the NHL that don't really understand what's going on here, because you could look at the situation and say, oh, Timo Meier's getting benched, oh, he's pointless in his first 3 games, oh, he's doing this, oh, he's doing that. What's going on here? Should they start to panic? Please, we're okay. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about how Timo Meier has performed this season. Of course, a bunch of these ideas were recorded before the Islanders game, but either way, thoughts in the comment section about how Timo Meier has played this season and where you think he's going to go going forward. I hope you enjoyed this video. Rolls 9, and bye.